Dr. Cynthia Elise Smith here. Happy New Year, everybody. This is my first broadcast for the new year. Um, of course, some of you know that I've written a book called White Supremacy in the Post-Racial Colorblind Era, Visible, an exploration of visible and invisible whiteness in the United States. Uh, Thank you. The response has been good. I would love for it to be better. You can purchase the book on my website and get a signed copy. And I do apologize for everyone who has still not received their book. It's USPS is horrible. I have sent you through Messenger your tracking numbers, however, and the books will get to you. I just beg your patience while we wait for Trump's mail system to work itself out. Anyway, I'm also taking my dissertation and putting it in book form. It'll be out before the end of the year. And that is called Writing While Black, Exploring Perceptions of African American Writing in the 21st Century. Anyway, I decided to get on here because I looked okay today, that I thought did a little something to the hair. And then that made me decide to throw on a little makeup. But I did, I'm digressing. Let me stop and cut to the chase. Okay? And here's the chase. Anybody who knows me knows that I write essays. I'm an educator. I'm an anti-racism and anti-white supremacist educator and essayist. And I write stuff that make you think. Uh, I'm not about trying to change your mind at all. That has never been my intention to try to change your mind. But what I do endeavor to do is to give you the tools so you can change your own mind. So, with that being said, I have an essay that I haven't put out yet, but I thought that it was important to put out. Of course, this essay is going to be in written form on the Baldwin for Medium. I write for a publication called The Baldwin, and it's on medium.com. Follow me there. C.L.E. Smith, EDD, medium.com. And also my website, www.calise, that's ALEASE-writer.com. And you can read my essays there. You can purchase the book. There's also some merch now, hats and bags and um, face masks with the doctor is in. That's available on my website as well now. And two of my novels are available for purchase as well. And all of my books are available for purchase on Amazon, and two of my novels are available on barnesandnoble.com as well. Anyway, this essay is not out yet, and it will be shortly. And I wrote it. Uh, I wrote it because I was disturbingly inspired. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. I was inspired, but it was not a good inspiration, but it was an inspiration nonetheless. And a lot of the inspiration that I get is born out of where my eyes are constantly focused until it goes away, and that is white supremacy and racism, which is the mechanism that sustains white supremacy. It's the system that sustains it. And in this volatile period of time that we are living in right now, I'm trying to keep the focus there because there are people who want to take the focus away and take us back to that post-racial colorblind era where while white supremacy and racism existed, they pretended it didn't. Okay? And that was probably almost as insidious because of what it did to people what it has done to at least two generations of American people, United States citizens today. Uh, but anyway, I'm digressing again. Uh, I'd like to read you this essay. It's more like a story, but it is an essay nonetheless. It's called Color as a Tool for Young Students When Critical Thought Battles with Splitting Hairs. This one I'm going to have you really listen to. I want you to do a close listen. You know you've probably heard of close reading. I want you to do a close listen. My soon to be 7-year-old grandson came home excited about his performance in school. His mother asked him, "What color did you get today?" He pretended nonchalance, sighed once, and asserted, "I got purple." His mother was pleased. I asked him what the color for his performance that day represented, and he told me it meant he'd done a great job. Other representations for performance in his first grade class were measured by the colors pink for outstanding, blue for good day, green for ready to learn, yellow for stop and think, which was third to the worst. Still others were orange for teacher's choice, and the worst, red, for parent contact. These color swatches for behavior and achievement gave me an uneasy pause for the apparent dubiousness these distinctions posed through the use of benign colors. I began to think about how so many people are oblivious about color as a tool in other areas of human activity. I wondered about the visual example of an oak tree, the quiet shade of its green leaves, and what that provides, and then specifically the picture of one that I use as a tool, demonstrating the roots, trunk, branches, and leaves to represent white supremacy and racism. Naturally, I equate the ideology and system used to sustain it like a tree that grows inside and outside of the ground silently and without any seeming consequence. And the way white supremacy grows and expands within consciousness without the conscious mind even being aware, quietly. Then I ask, how could the use of a seemingly benign color wheel to ascribe value to the performance of children have any connotations inside of the white supremacist ideology when clearly the idea lives outside of it? Nevertheless, I thought, this is where this is where the construct of colorism begins in earnest. And it is because white supremacy is baked into the pedagogy of generations of the meritocracy of superior versus inferior in education. So it is both natural as well as unnatural that education would be where the benign use of color to denote achievement and recognition for merit would begin even before the visible distinctions of race as color or race as character would have taken hold fully as concepts in the minds of young children. My grandson said he received purple. The day before, he received pink. Some days he receives green, and one day he actually got second to the last. So he is no fan of orange, but has never yet received red. He's afraid of red. I asked his mother, who's white, what she thought of the color designations used to apply merit. And she thought nothing of it. So I asked her to consider something I know she had never considered before: using color as a tool for achievement, merit, superior and or inferior performance has the potential power to become a reinforcement for the color of skin later on, as the child associates the colors black and white with superior and inferior and value and merit, just as religion associates the colors black and white with good and bad. She said she would begin to use the words outstanding and great job, good day and ready to learn for his performance in school as a reinforcement on his good days, and even teacher's choice, and just in case he ever got that red parent contact on a bad day. She admitted she never thought about the use of color before, and although I knew about its use as a tool, generally, I was stunned by how early color as a tool might be used, and how early it could indoctrinate a young mind in the direction of connecting color to bodies as a codifier and distinction as well. When I begin to close think, I do a lot of that. Anybody who knows me knows I do a lot of that. Or I critically think, and I do a lot of that. When I critically think of the use of color as a tool, the overarching question for me then becomes, why associate merit with color? Let me repeat that question. Why associate merit with color? If I were to ask that question right now, what would you, the reader, or the listener in this case, think? How would you answer? Now, some might respond with the obvious: this is how children learn color. Other responses might include, it's just another way for teachers to use when children are too young to understand the meanings of the words associated with the colors. Fair enough. However, certainly by the time children are in pre-K, they have a relatively good command of their primary, if not both their primary and secondary colors. So it isn't as though colors are being used to teach them color. I would think a great way to teach children words and reading in the first grade would be to literally place the words themselves on the board and use them instead of colors. Provide the definitions of the words in relation to their performance in class. You think? It is said that by the time children reach pre-K, they already have somewhat of a grasp of racist color, but many only understand the colors black and white as being either good or bad. I already know that my grandson understands white supremacy, at least in the way that a 6-year-old can, because he told me he did. My grandson is no ordinary child. I understand white supremacy, Nana, he said. I guess he should. He hears me when I do presentations and write essays, and he is in my room listening when I'm reading my essays aloud. The question, why associate merit with color, I believe is mostly rhetorical, since it should be obvious. Colors used in his school are being used as a tool for recognition of accomplishment. Nevertheless, It caused me to think very deeply into the implications of the use of color as a tool again, applying to it the added dimension of just how early indoctrination begins. I must admit, I began to wrestle with the concept itself and whether I was simply splitting hairs or making something out of nothing. And certainly I've been accused of that. You think race is in everything? Well, it is. People just haven't come to grips with that fact. Because it is. But anyway, I must admit, I began to wrestle with the concept itself and whether I was simply splitting hairs or making something out of nothing, using a completely benign learning tool to apply my view of the inner malevolence of white supremacy. I already knew about the relationship between green and go and caution and yellow and red for stop because I am indoctrinated to know what is represented by road signals. Therefore, use of colors such as this for safety is definitely outside of the realm of white supremacist thought and practice. These colors are not used for safety, however, but for the value of a person through their achievement. This is categorically different. I asked myself, why is the measure of outstanding the lightest color in the group of colors used to describe my grandson's achievement? Is this minute detail just enough to produce a correlation between white supremacist use of color and that which is used to denote achievement in the earliest of elementary grades? They didn't use white after all. But they did use a very light pastel pink. The doubt created by these questions are, in fact, the part of the insidious nature of the ideology of white supremacy. The ideology always leaves the option open for debate, for doubt. It is an ideology steeped in paradoxes or plausible deniability. Subtle dichotomies live inside the push-pull of the ideology over whether it even exists, and if it does, whether or not it would go so far as to inject itself with primary and secondary colors for the pedagogy of young minds as well. As benign as the colors black and white are in normal belief and discourse, it is well known they are used in mostly all religions to distinguish good and bad. In my essay entitled White Supremacy and the Assignment of Color, I discussed how those benign colors were assigned and attached to dark-skinned human bodies used as slaves by white supremacists and light-skinned, poor bodies in the lower class who shared pigment with the wealthy gentry early in the history of the United States. As evidenced through the history of the nation, colors were used as tools in order to distinguish superiority and inferiority. Suffice to say, color used as a tool for identification and codification of achievement and merit, good and bad, superiority and inferiority are all facts that cannot be disputed. Therefore, I am confident that I am not splitting hairs about its use to indoctrinate young children in the earliest part of their education. Furthermore, anyone who sees nothing at all suspect in the use of color as a tool for achievement and merit most likely lie among the spectrum of the colorblind and blissfully ignorant on the far end. cognitively dissonant in the middle, all the way to the overtly racist white supremacist at the far right. Splitting hairs? Not a chance. But for the unsure, let me say it has all the earmarks of being intentional. The use of color as a tool in the white supremacist arsenal of the absurd, even in the earliest years of young, impressionable first grade students, can be logically concluded at the very least as probable, even if the logic it makes seems to split hairs. For me, the idea is somehow more malevolent than it ever appeared before. And that concludes that essay. What do you think? What do you think about that? Color is a tool. I'm going to ask Grayson because he's going to bust in here very shortly. I just heard him coming home from school. I said, what did you get today? How many of you want to bet that he got a color? That he says color instead of... I'll show you how indoctrination works. Gray? Hey, Moot! Come here, baby. Come here a minute. I want to ask you a question. Hurry up. Oh, he's running back and forth. Eventually he'll be up. He usually comes up and busts in just because I need him right now. He's not going to do it. But anyway, what do you think about that? Have you ever thought about that? Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. Hey, Moot. Come here, buddy. What? Come here. I want to ask you a question. Just a quick question. Oh, don't you look cute? Come here. I'm doing a video. I want to say hi, Moody.
Hi.
I want to ask you a question about how you did today in school. What did you get?
Pink.
You got what?
Pink. Because I knew you were going to be doing this today.
You didn't know I was going to do this today. You had no idea I was going to do this today. So why are you even saying it? But what does pink represent?
Outstanding.
So why don't you use the word outstanding instead of the color?
Outstanding.
There you go. Because you were outstanding today, weren't you? That's good.
I was going to go wash my hands.
Okay, good. Can I have a kiss on my cheek? Just a little one? That was too good. Okay. That was Moot. That was Grace and Troy. Oh, sweetheart. I thought you had to go wash your hands.
All right.
Yeah. Shut the door, Moot. The indoctrination is already complete. I've explained to him what outstanding means. But the indoctrination of color as value is already in place. In his case, in the first grade. What do you think? What do you think? I'm going to look down. It looks like I have about 6 or so people on. Brandon, Happy New Year's, Brandon. Hi, Sherry or Cherie. John. Oh, what a wonderful thing to say. Thank you. Thank you, Cherie. Yeah, I do have a YouTube channel. I don't have many, it's I don't know. I'm not even going to say whether this is going to be on YouTube as well. But I'm not going to say whether this is whether it's I don't know what it is. There are a lot of people who just don't want to hear what I have to say. Or they don't want to be educated in this way for so many reasons. But I do have there are some people who are very interested because they want to understand why we are dealing with what we're dealing with today. And in order to understand that, you have to get a grasp of what went on before. Some people don't seem to realize that. So yeah, but I have maybe, I think a little over 100 people who follow me now. But you can certainly follow me on YouTube. The doctor is in. That's what you want to look for. Dr. Cynthia Elise Smith, the doctor is in. I actually have two channels. The first channel, it was just a regular old, I put my dissertation up on it. It's not the channel that I use for my presentations and video essays. Um, yeah. So I think that it's the two of you who were discussing things on here. I want people to feel free to share. I always say that, and I mean it. Please feel free to share this on your walls, on your uh, feed, your timelines, so that I can get messages across to people, to your friends and your family. Yeah, color as value. Absolutely. Ah, gold stars. Yes, yes, gold stars. Yep, that's the topic today. Is color is value. And it starts early in children because what they're teaching children is merit and achievement through a meritocracy, which is what this nation is also built upon. That part of the overall ideology is something that kind of latched on to us as citizens as well. It is also folded into the system of racism that black people deal with, because within that system we have, it's kind of like a double bubble. We have the system of racism, which contains the denial and the limited apportionment of opportunity, and discrimination, and then and the barriers, and then we have meritocracy, which says if you are all of that, you can get past these barriers, and we do. A lot of us do. A lot of us do. You know, some don't, and we shouldn't vilify those that don't. Anyway, so do share this video with others, and I'll stay on for a little while longer to see if there's anybody else that would like to chime in on it, as my friend Michael Gay would say. Chime in, say something about. Ah, John says I'm not following yet. Those other colors, purple, orange, don't have intrinsic values. No, you have to understand. It's not. See, you may be getting caught up in. I made that reference to the light color pink, but that was for a reason. That was because of the lightness of the color, as opposed to they could have used chartreuse for outstanding. They could have used burnt sienna. They could have used any color, but they used the lightest color in that color palette, short of white, for outstanding. The other colors that are used are really inconsequential in the color, in the assignment of the particular color. But the purpose, the idea is that color denotes value. Color connotes value. And they assign a value of achievement through merit to these students using those colors. Not to say that he's going to grow up thinking that purple means great job everywhere he goes as an adult, but he's indoctrinated to use color as value. So when he looks at his creamy skin, he could decide, my creamy skin says that I'm better than the people who don't have a creamy skin. At which time he's going to have to understand that color does not have value except as a way to create art. The art then has the value, but not necessarily not the colors. I hope that makes sense. Ah, John says he's replying to Cherie. I'd be interested to hear what you might think, what you think might be a good alternative to meritocracy. I haven't thought about that yet because the concept of equality would cancel out a meritocracy. The only reason why the country lives in a meritocracy is because of capitalism and the pursuit of scarce resources, which means that if you, and the concept of best and better and competition for those scarce resources. That's why. And it's so ingrained in us that, and even in it, I'm ingrained in that as well. I'm not immune from that as well. So that, when I went to school, I needed to achieve. I didn't use color. Of course, by the time you're my age and you're in school, they're not going to be able to get away with using color. They're not going to give us gold stars or red ribbons or blue ribbons or uh, tell us we had a purple day or a pink day and anything like that because it won't fly. But at the same time, I know that there's value in merit that's built into merit. There's a value. Now, why they use color to denote that, I just can't understand why, except that I understand why. Because of the root. Hi, Jesse J. Hi, Kimberly! Kimberly, you have to watch it from the beginning. I did a whole essay. Yep. And it has to do with color as value. And I had written an essay that dealt with my grandson, Grayson, and how his class uses color as a tool. And it's not just his classroom. I think classrooms all over the country do that. From pre-K up to how many K to 12 teachers we got here? Because I know that by grade 12 they're not using color anymore. Because I would have to say by grade 3, no, my grandson's already fully indoctrinated as color with color as in terms of uh, good and bad and achievement. Cherie says detaching meritorious behavior from the economics of meritocracy is a significant challenge. Yes, 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 because it's not just education. It's in employment as well. It's in everything. It's kind of like, if this was an IQ question, it might be like, uh, meritocracy is to they both meritocracy and white. I'd have to put it together like this is this like this is this or something like that. I don't want to try to do it on the fly because it may come out sounding stupid. But anyway, the point is white supremacy is at the root because it is all about superiority. Okay, if you take the white and shove it to the side, you still have superiority. The only difference is it's how white people treat white people. White people use meritocracy on white people. White people use racism on black people. White people use meritocracy on black people as well. but the underlying factor that always stands when it comes to white supremacy is that black people are just not able to achieve to the extent of white people. And why? Because they are more superior. So among themselves, they grapple with and fight over who the best, and they compete over these scarce resources, and then they who's better, who's best, the best man won. But they use racism to throw the barriers in front of us so that we can't participate in the meritocracy. But a lot of us do manage to do it nonetheless, and that happens because of what I call limited apportionment of opportunity. And we do get that as part of the system of racism since 1968. Okay, it used to be just all about denial and discrimination. Now it's about denial, discrimination, and limited apportionment. Yeah, those who would want to stop that, they want to cut that part out, so they don't have to include us in this in the meritocracy. I would agree with the status part, John. Oh, okay. You guys are having your own discussion, okay? Meritocracy has a place in the assignation of authority, but authority should not by itself be rewarded economically in an equality based system. Hi, Stephanie. Hi. I'm gonna be working on your thingy this evening. Kisses to you, Doc. Thank you. Stimulating discussion. Thank you. Thank you. It should be. That's the whole point. I like to make you think. I want you to think about it. If you think I'm splitting hairs, so be it. There's a lot of people who are going to watch this and say, "Oh, for God's sakes." She just sees this. She sees this, and they'll say racism. They won't say white supremacy. She see racism in everything. No, I'm not actually talking about racism here, folks. And this is another thing that I'm going to be digging, diving really deep into to begin a rethinking and a relearning for people to understand that no, racism is not always the case, but you can be damn sure white supremacy is, because that's at the root. Meritocracy falls under that. Exactly. We do not have an equality based system. No, we have a meritocracy. Competition to determine who deserves recognition for their achievement, whatever that achievement may be. Now, what happens with little children is that they begin the indoctrination that early, and they use color. Now, what is the difference between, somebody got to tell me why you can't begin to teach your child about, if we got to talk about merit and meritocracy and achievement and being better than somebody else in a similar circumstance. If we have to talk in terms of that at all, which is the way that this country is, and God forbid, as long as it is, we're going to sadly have, live in this supremacist society, because you've got white, who's at the top. They're the best. Everything else is under it, and meritocracy works in that way. Nobody ever gets to be just like up there. But what they do is they say, but if you share my pigment, if you share my color, then you're here. I take it down, because white people have acquiesced and have accepted the fact that they live in a caste system that places them about here. And the masses of them will never be here with the ones in the power, but they're okay with that because they say, in this world of the meritocracy, we don't have to really fight at all. We can even be mediocre and we will still be above the black people who we here and the black people down here, and they gotta fight to get where we are. And their fight is to try to keep us from getting where they are. And it starts early with color indoctrination of children in terms of their achievement. It just does. So, like I said, you're going to want to share this with your friends and your family. Once this is done, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using some of my little tools that I've amassed over the year to punch it up with some pictures and other little good stuff, like things popping up on the side as I talk and things like that in relation to this essay. And then I'll be putting it on my YouTube channel. And please do get on that YouTube channel. Tell your friends to subscribe. And because when you do and when you like the videos, do hit the like button and everything, because what that does is that helps grow my channel. um I don't really make a big thing out of it because I guess that's just the way I am. Kind of. I do want everybody to know about it, but I don't want to appear that that is the only thing that is important to me, because that isn't. What's important to me is that you learn, or that you begin to think critically about what I'm educating you about. It doesn't mean you have to agree. It doesn't mean you have to accept it. But I will tell you, once you do critically think about the things that I write, and you critically think about the things that I say, and you really start opening up your mind, something happens. I mean, I'm sure that some of the people that are on here now who do know me will attest to that fact. And I really do recommend that you get the book. You don't have if you're part of Kindle, if you're part of Amazon, and or an Amazon Prime, you can get you can read the book for free. Okay. uh if you want to get a signed copy, sure, jump up on my website, www.clease-writer.com, and that's alease-writer.com, and purchase a copy, which will give you a signed copy of the book. But certainly you can get it on Amazon, or you can get it in the Kindle version. But get it, read it. I am positive it's going to change the way you think about your life. It will change what you thought you knew about white supremacy and racism. Those people who were born after 1968 and came of age in, say, 19 people who came of age in 1970, or no, in 1980, people who came of age. When I say came of age, that means once you learned concepts, once you understood generally about concepts and people, 18, 19, 20, in the 1980s, you grew up right in the middle of the post-racial colorblind era. And you will learn the most about what that did to at least two generations of people in this nation. So do, please do, tell your friends, get the book. You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not even really concerned about sales necessarily because I have even offered to give this thing away to people in PDF format who ask. So, because my focus is on opening up some eyes. I want to open up your eyes. I want you to start thinking and go, oh, damn, really? I had one person write, I'm going to read what she wrote because I thought it was very, I even posted what she wrote. She sent me a message on Messenger and she said, what did she say? She put some pictures of the book as it laid next to her bed, and she posted those, and she says, "I just woke up. This was my sleeping partner. No, I didn't set up the pic. So I'm looking at the picture, and I'm seeing the book sitting up right next to her tissue box on the bed." She said, "There are certain parts of the book that I had to keep going back to. Now do Unbook Volume 2." So she's telling me, you need to write another book as an adjunct to this one. She says, "I really internalized this book and now have the guts. And now I have the guts to read The Gatekeeper after reading it." That was one of my novels. Yeah, The Gatekeeper's a little deep. It's a novel, though. This book that I wrote on white supremacy in the post-racial colorblind era is not a novel. No, there's a true life stuff going on right there. She said, "I didn't sleep well as I reflected on my own everyday language in post, fully knowing it is not intentionally racist, but wondered if it was the result of listening to other allies and even other black people or my own remnants of leftover brainwashing. It's a soul searching book. Please feel free to share what I have said here in the group." She also say she also said, um, she said, "There's an old saying, the truth cannot be questioned." She says, "I am in deep thought on this." She said, "To break the cycle of racism, should white people stop identifying as white? It's a social construct and invention." There's a chapter in my book, section in my book where I talk about race as a social construction. Um, then she said, and she asked me, she says, "In the color black, but how would that be done this time in history?" She says, she says, "The colorization of humans." She says, "We are not, I think it's phylum, or phylum." She says, and the color black, how would that be done during this time in history?" And I said, "I think we're stuck with these assignments of color, the definitions and associated value." There's that word again. Associated value placed on colors. That will be the challenge. So she said, "Okay, the book was brilliant." Thank you, Connie. I had to really examine my own catchphrase, such as privilege, and other coded phrases and words such as diversity. I'm in such deep thought right now. So much history I was not aware of. I must have gone back and forth in the book to various pages several times. It would be nice to have a group conversation on the book. If I only knew that using the term privilege was actually a form of white supremacy, I would never have used the term. You don't know till you know. Once you know, you must take responsibility. Get the book. Get the book and read it. And I would love to have a group conversation on this. I'm really seriously considering having that group conversation. As soon as I know that a number of people have read the book, I will most certainly have some conversations about it. Okay? Just so you know. Let's see. Hey, Diane. How you doing? Hi. What's up, Jenny K? Yes. Oh, thank you, Cherie. She put my YouTube channel on there. Thank you, girl. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Diane says, "Wow, it is." What do you mean? Whether privilege, the use of the term privilege, is white supremacist? Yes, yes, it is. Use of the term in the way that it is used. It is in the way that it is used to signify the value of a person who is white. Just simply saying, I have privilege. I even wrote an essay about that one. Um, oh, thank you, Cherie. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Share it while it's live, fam. Yes. Hi, Otis. How are you? Hi, Kimberly. Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, definitely, definitely. Because I'll put out something to say. I'm wrestling whether I'm gonna do it on my regular friend page or whether I'll do it. I'll limit it to members of the group of the family practice group. That seems to be where I get the most responses to what I write. My regular Facebook page, I don't get as many responses as I do from within the group, so I might do that. Yeah, yeah. Oh, privilege. Yes, Diane. Yes, absolutely. It is. Um, because, okay, a little bit of history. And I wrote an essay about that. Peggy McIntosh back in the 1980s. Uh, during a time when, during the post-racial colorblind era had probably been, I think it was about a good 10 years, maybe 68, 78, 80, 68, 78. That was about 10 years. It was well already, we were well into that era, into that period of time. And the term whiteness, white supremacy had all but had actually disappeared. Then comes Peggy McIntosh in the 80s, as though she, and I mean, this woman is like, people love her work because she was the one out of she was like the Tim Wise of white people because she wrote and used the word white and attached it to privilege and said, this is what we have. But it wasn't through any fault of our own. It was a hidden hand, some esoteric thing that bestowed this privilege upon us. So recognize that this is the way that it is, that yes, we have privilege. That's just like saying we privilege is being given that distinction of superiority. That is privilege. Now everything else is ancillary because that comes directly out of the system that supports white supremacy. So the denial, discrimination, and limited apportionment of racism is what supports that privilege. But it is the overarching ideology itself that created the privilege. You get it? Oh, she got my Twitter. Otis got my Twitter thing going on there. Is that my Twitter thing? Thank you. Okay, so there's advantage built into the system, and it is called privilege through the advantage Though the advantage isn't inherent to any person, it still has to be exercised, doesn't it? Hmm. Ah, that's an interesting question, but it's too. It's actually. Mm, my lips are so chapped. Yeah, excuse me. I got lip coming off. Sorry. Um. Though the advantage isn't inherent to any person, it still has to be exercised. I'm not really sure I understand the question as written because privilege, as it is defined in white supremacy, which is really privilege is just a kinder way or euphemism for saying I am superior. Uh, I don't know whether that's exercised. I have to see if I can usage by the lazy-minded. I'm not quite sure. Let me see. Let me think. See here. Thank you for the question because you make me think about what you're saying. Let me just try to think about what you're saying. It's called built into the system. Well, yeah. Advantage. Yeah, advantage is it could be a synonym. Advantage could be a synonym for privilege in the way that you are describing privilege here. It still has to be exercised, doesn't it? By who? That would be my question. Because we're talking about a particular kind of privilege that is, according to Peggy McIntosh, was bestowed to white people from through some hidden hand somewhere, which is a crock of bull duty because it was, if you go back into history, which I do cover in the book, it was literally given. The whole concept and the ideology was given in the form of laws and rules and covenants to white people from the wealthy gentry on the basis of color. It's like, okay, these heathens, these heathens got the same color as we do. Now we know we can't stand them neither, which is why we put them in classes by themselves, apart and segregated from us, the rich wealthy gentry. And in so doing, we kind of made them mad at us, and they started looking over here at these black people who they was getting treated badly, and they were like, well, wait a minute, let's band together and get rid of these rich white gentry people so we can have some equality and all of us can share in the pie. And the wealthy white gentry, and so they had a rebellion, Bacon's Rebellion, and the wealthy white gentry said, oh, we can't have this. We're going to have to do something about this. Why don't we do this? Now, I'm being very simplistic here, but this is the deal. Let's get these people that share color. We can use color. We'll just use color. We already call these animals that we done brought over from Africa. We done call them. We've got names for them, and we already know that black is this, and we already know that white is this. Let's make them. Let's make it whiteness. Let's do that. Let's take the fact that we are one in our whiteness as superior. I mean, after all, the man on high up there in the clouds somewhere, and I'm being facetious, is white, like us, superior to all of us, everybody in the world, in the universe, superior to everybody. Well, let's get them some land, we'll give them some money, and we'll tell them they are better, that they don't need to be striking out and becoming they should not associate with these people or be in any way in fellowship with these things, these animals, because they are who they are. They are slaves. You are better than that. So that's where that unearned achievement kicked in. You can achieve, you can be just like we are if you just work hard. If you just work, you can be where we are one day. So that's what they did. And no matter what you do, you better than that black man over there. Or that black buck over there. Because see, they were very, very specific about how they described black people back then. We weren't people, we were niggers. Just like the cow over there and the chicken over there and the pig over here. We were niggers. That's what niggers were. It's gotten such a negative connotation over the generations, and that's rightly so, because we're not animals called niggers. The women were not heifers. The children were not pickaninnies, and the men were not bucks. But if you're treating people like animals, that's what, ladies and gentlemen, that's what a nigger was. It was the name, just like a cow, a pig, a rooster, a chicken, a duck. Then you had your nigger. That's what it was. Ow! 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 Oh, my chest started hurting. Stop. I had that tickled me. I mean, that's what it was. That's what they were. So what the gentry said was, you're not that. You're not an animal. And guess what? We share the same skin color. That makes you just like us. When they knew damn well, white people, they knew damn well. And so that's why why do you think they kept the class system intact? Although I do have to point out, and I think, did I put that in the book? Yes, I think I did put that in the book. That the Confederacy, in the Constitution of the Confederacy, they were going to supposedly get rid of that whole class structure under the law. So it was going to be slaves and white people. And all white people was going to be equal. See, because, they didn't particularly like their class caste either, the Southerners. Okay, so in order to get them guys to get out there and fight for them, okay, they had to say, look, you win this fight for us and let us keep our niggers, we will make it so that you will now be equal to us. Interesting stuff. Kind of digressed a little bit, but yeah, because we're supposed to be talking about color as value. Well, I guess we are indirectly. Worthy warriors. Listen, it's not a matter. It's yeah, you walk, yep, Diane, yep, that is true. Ah, yes. I see the linguistic issue, just don't want to push aside the idea that there are structural advantages granted to people based on color, which is how many are using the term today, recognizing there is an uneven playing field. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the concept behind racism. That's part of the concept behind racism, and the fact that there are so many out there that don't want to believe that it exists. Because if you understand that there is a system in place to ensure that a group of people that these black people, I'm not going to say a group of people because I want to stay specific to what it's about here in the US. If you created designed and created a system to ensure that the black descendants of the enslavement would never achieve through merit, which is the system that you have in place for white people, you can't create a level playing field anyway. But you certainly don't want to create a level playing field between the people that you have told over generations are not even the same as the niggers. So how are you gonna create a level playing field with them? You know what that's gonna do. I said, but wait a minute. For generations you done told us that we better than them. And now you wanna make them the same as us? Mm-hmm. There's that unlevel playing field. That's what racism does. It keeps the playing field uneven. It keeps there is no equity, equality of opportunity, no justice. There's none of that. There is, however, limited apportionment in the areas of employment and education. And by that I mean limited, very limited. And those are just two areas of human activity in this country. Just two. You know, I will say there is an extremely limited apportionment of opportunity in politics because we do have a smattering, and I mean a small representation in politics. Yeah, that's true, Diane. They did. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, now I didn't go. Now, Diane, you have to understand this book is about the post-racial colorblind era. But what I do is I do relate some history back because I talk about race as color, race as character, and I talk about that period of time. In fact, what is that? What is that part of the book? I think it's in chapter. Hold on one second. Hold on a second. Let me get something for you, and then I will find. Yeah, hold on one secondo. And I'm going to read to you the chapter where you will get the most information about the Confederacy, or, that reference to the Confederacy. That would be in chapter 2, Race as Color. Chapter 2, Race as Color, Whiteness, and White Supremacy on Becoming a Thing in the United States. I go into a lot of detail there. I go into a great deal of detail there about when whiteness was a thing, and all of the references that I could find without making the book 800 pages or more, because there's so much. There's just so much. I talk about Jefferson and Lincoln and a few people. I talk about actually a bunch of people. Hold on. I talk about what is it? Who was it? Bilbo. Senator Bilbo in 19 Theodore Bilbo. In fact, let me just read you a little piece from this. Writing in an article for the ACLU entitled "It's Time to Tell the Truth About the Confederacy and Its Symbols," Jeffrey Robinson, ACLU Deputy Legal Director and Director of the Tyrone Center for Justice and Equality, recalled a statement made by Theodore Bilbo, racist segregationist and Mississippi senator from 1934 to 1947. Senator Bilbo was vehement on the importance in maintaining white supremacy in Mississippi, calling on his fellow men. Now, this is from 1934 to 1947, okay? Every red blooded white man, he says, call for every red blooded white man to use any means necessary to keep the niggers away from the polls. If you don't understand what that means, you're just plain dumb. You and I know what's the best way to keep the nigger from voting. You do it the night before the election. Sound familiar? This is in 1934 to 1947, people. Note the term white man being easily and overtly used by Senator Bilbo, complete with a predilection for the term's distinction as superior. In his remarks, he was also declaring a call to vigilante arms, which is in effect state-sanctioned violence against niggers, to ensure they would not be able to vote him or any other red-blooded white man out of office. That's just an excerpt from the book. Oh, yeah. Back in the day, white was a thing. White was a thing. The white man, there was, in fact, let me just read one other little small passage in the beginning. I think this is at the very beginning. Yes, this begins that chapter. Practically every expression of exceptionalism, superiority, prowess, or tradition, any successful conquest of land or body, and the singular responsibility for all the achievements of mankind on earth in the United States was once prefaced with the words, "the white man." This phrase was used liberally throughout the country for hundreds of years until the advent of the post-racial colorblind era. While this section discusses race and white supremacy beyond the bounds of the United States, the European references are meant to establish the framework for what eventually arrived in the United States of America from Europe. And then it goes on from there. I'm not going to read anymore. I want you to get the book. Get the book. Get the book. Profoundly enlightened. Good luck with my book. Thank you, Alfonso. How are you? You need... Look, Alfonso, let me tell you something. You are a very willing student. I know that you are still a little cognitively dissonant. I am not sure what race you are because you have not made that clear. Maybe you were not ready yet. There are a number of white people on my page. There are a number of white people who follow me. There are a number of white people who are friends on my page. I don't want you to feel like you can't say at this point what you are, because that actually helps out a whole lot in our discussions. That would be a great help in our discussions. If you want to get a clearer, if you want validation or whatever from someone, let's say if you need to hear that from someone else, talk to Diane Peterson. She and I go a long, long way, and she's come a very, very long way. Very long way. Hey, Otis. He was a proud leader of his Citizens Council. Haley Barber spoke up so fondly. How about that? How about that? You talking about Bilbo? Bilbo was... Now, you want to talk about racist? as a term, Bilbo was a racist. And you want to know why Bilbo was a racist? Because as a vehement white supremacist, he utilized the tools within the system at his disposal to deny. You get me? And discriminate. That's a racist. Everyday white people, I'm here to tell you, you may want to be so much like them people that's up there controlling you like little marionettes. But you're not. And I know I go out on a limb all the time when I say this to people because they go, what? You can really only be a racist if what you do as a white supremacist is utilize those tools that the system has. Because if it's just behavior you talking about, because you don't like me because I'm black, that's not racist. Not really. You have to have the power behind it. Otherwise, it don't mean nothing. You just kind of you know what I mean. These people who are actually actively liking the fact that they think they are racist, they're just trying to be up here with the ones who are. What's the key, Diane? What do you mean by the key? I kind of like this. Talk to me. I know we kind of off the subject of what the original essay was about, but that's okay. Most of my videos end up that way anyway. Once I get to talking with people and we start talking about others, it always inevitably gets into other subjects. So I do want people to go back who are just getting in and look at the video from the beginning because I actually am talking about what was in the title. Okay, it has to do with color as a tool to indoctrinate young school children in color as value. Okay, so that's what the essay was about. Hey, hi, Carmen. I saw that post. I hope you're still on. I really hope you're still on because I'm just seeing your message. Hi, darling. I saw that post about our son. Yeah, I claim that baby. Lawrence. Yes, indeedy. Oh, geez. Now my granddaughter's calling. I'm going to have to take a little break. Just a sec. Ching, I got to call you back. What? Hey girl, what you doing? I'm on video now. I gotta let you go. I'll call you back. Oh, hey y'all, hey live. Wait a minute. That's Shingling. That's my Shing. I'm so sorry. I'll call you back. All right, bye bye. I'm so sorry about that. Oop. Oh, so anyway, yeah. Anyway, I kind of sort of thought that might happen, but I wasn't sure. So my apologies. Um, okay. No matter what, the system is fixed again. Oh, of course it is. That's the whole purpose of it. That's the whole purpose of it, Diane. The that is the reason why racism exists as a system. It exists as a system because it is necessary in order to support the fallacy of white supremacy. That's why it exists. That's the only reason it exists in the US. I am not talking about other countries and how they Or I'm talking about something that I know, that I can speak on. Okay? I know that worldwide white supremacy is the root, but in the United States, our system of racism was designed and created specifically for the purpose of denial, discrimination, structurally within every institution in this country for the express purpose of denying opportunity, justice, equality, and equity to the descendants of the newly freed slaves way back when Reconstruction was overthrown. And everything that has happened since, you gonna have to read about in the book to find to understand. We need to have a book club. There is a book club in the group. It's called it's been around for a year, Diane. It's the Doctor is in Family Practice Book Club. If you look on my website, you'll see what the Book of the Month Club is for January. Yep. Every month for every month for an entire year already. It's been that way. Hold on, let me see if I can I will tell you what books were okay in 2020, January 2020, it was Slave Nation, How Slavery United How Slave Nation, How Slavery United States, the Colonies and Sparked the American Revolution by Alfred I messed that up. Alfred Bloomrosen, White, and in February it was White Trash: The 400-Year Untold History of Class in America by Nancy Eisenberg. March it was How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi. Um, April was The Condemnation of Blackness, Race, Crime, and the Making of Modern Urban America by Khalil Gibran Muhammad. May was White Rage, The Unspoken Truth of Our Racial Divide by Carol Anderson. June, it was They Were Her Property, White Women as Slave Owners in the American South by Stephanie E. Jones Rogers. July was Learning to Be White, Money, Race, and God in America by Thandika. August, or Tandika, maybe a silent H. Um, in August, The Color of Law, A Forgotten History of How Our Government Segregated America by Richard Rothstein. September was The Assassination of Fred Hampton, How the FBI and the Chicago Police Murdered a Black Panther by Jeffrey Haas. October was The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. November was When Affirmative Action Was White. And December was my book, White Supremacy in the Post-Racial Colorblind Era, uh, an exploration of visible and invisible whiteness in the United States, an Unbook look, an Unbleached Unbook look. Yep, so those are the books from last year. And this year, hold on, this year, this month, the book of the month is, oh geez, I had to go on the website. I forgot to put it into my list here. Yet, yeah, get on the website and you'll see what the book of the month is. If you go on the website and look on the menu, click on the menu, it'll take you down to where the book of the month is for the Family Practice Book Club. Okay. Um, it all goes back. Okay, Carmen says, "Oh, Carmen's still here! Yay!" It all goes back to the code to perpetuate the miseducation of black people in every aspect of learning. Yes, hence don't let them read. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that was part of the indoctrination too. I can tell you. When I went to school, reading was not taught as something fun and exciting and to do. Now, keep in mind, I was born in 1953, so that when I began going to school, it was still in the 50s. It's before the Civil Rights Act. Okay. People always talk, and I even go into detail about that in the book too, how the focus became strictly the South, as though the North wasn't doing some really shady shit too, you know? Um, and in my school, well, wow, I just got back to a very vivid memory of that time. Third grade, we got new books, which was rare. And I was in Miss Wolf's class. And I loved Miss Wolf. And Miss Wolf loved me. I mean, this teacher loved me. Okay? I used to write stories in the classroom and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, and she really loved me. But before we could touch those books, we had to wipe our hands on our clothes before we could touch the books. She didn't want us soiling the books. And we couldn't have them except for short periods of time. And we could only read quickly whatever it was that she was teaching at the time with these books. Now, mind you, she had all kinds of books in there, but we were never allowed to touch them unless she said it was okay. And before we touched any book, it was like you have to wipe your hands. I mean, there was a ritual surrounding reading, and it wasn't pleasant at all. And so my elementary and it wasn't a whole heck of a lot. It wasn't a whole heck of a lot of reading going on in my house. Not really. There was a whole lot of working going on, not a whole lot of reading going on. So as a result, reading became um, a means to an end as opposed to something for enjoyment. So even until even in my adult life now, reading is uh, something that which is ironic since I'm a writer. I I only read because I have to, unless it's nonfiction. I've gotten into a place where I really like to. I can read nonfiction, and God knows, thank God for Audible.com. Um, because you know how you have people who love the feel of the paper and they love the turn paper. Now, I often think I must have a form of attention deficit because that never appealed to me. So Audible gives me the ability to like get into hundreds of books, and I've gotten into hundreds of books as a result of Audible, which is good. Yeah. But anyway, listen, I'm beginning to digress now because I've been talking about a whole lot of other stuff. Uh, get that book. So we can have a discussion. All of the people who who are interested in in learning about that period of time and the history before that period of time in the way that I presented it. Truly, get the book and read it. It's called White Supremacy and the Post-Racial Colorblind Era, an exploration of visible and invisible whiteness in the United States, an unbleached, unbooked look. Okay? Get that book, read it, and then, we can have a discussion, a few discussions. Maybe I'll set up a way where we can have a few discussions about it. Yeah. So, if there aren't any more questions that are related to the essay or color as value for achievement for young children and uh, first grade, kindergarten, first grade. I think they must do it up to about maybe third or so, because the indoctrination is generally. Ooh, I'm just. Why am I itching all of a sudden? I'm sorry. My neck is itching. Mm. Anyway, yeah. So wait a minute. Okay. About the same age here. Made my hustle reading to the elders. Ah, during elementary. Oh, okay. Yeah. I know. I'm sure there are plenty stories about that, about reading, uh, how you began to read, or people. Because now my brother, on the other hand, he liked to read. He was an avid reader. He liked to do it. So, but like I said, if there's no more, discussion about that, or anybody have any questions, at any other questions. Oh, Carmen says, yes, in my high school when Black History was introduced, the book was already 10 years old. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we used a lot of old books too. Like old in age. Yeah. New for us. So our teacher taught us what he knew about our history and current Black history, historically books and outdated. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Wow. Yeah. Special shout out to California and what's going on there. Stay safe, people. It's messed up. I read somewhere on TMZ, I think it was, where Lou Gossett Jr. Lou Gossett was in the hospital, had been taken to the hospital, and he couldn't even walk. He was so bad with COVID. But when he saw what was going on in the hospital and the number of people that were just dropping like flies, like they're saying a person is dying every 17 minutes there in Los Angeles, um, he made them take him out. And so we may be hearing something. Let's just pray for Lou Gossett that, or whatever, however you speak to deity or God, or however you send up or send, however you choose to express, do that for him. He's 80 some years old. I think he's like in his mid 80s at this point, and pre-existing conditions. I think they said he had cancer. So, and he has COVID now. So we may be getting that word that, you know, he may be getting ready to go. Anyway, I don't want to digress too far away. I'm gonna go because I gotta call my shingeling back, my granddaughter back. I'm helping her with her studies, and I will get back. This is my first for this year. I will be back on again soon, very soon. And do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Tell your friends to subscribe. Do subscribe to my website. And follow me on Medium. Follow me on the Baldwin for Medium. Okay? I love you too, Diane. I love everybody here. Thank you for taking the time to visit with me and and allowing me to read this essay. It was for you to think. Share this with your friends. Give them the opportunity to open their minds and expand themselves.